The transmission came through on all frequencies at once. Every ship, every station, every planet with a receiver heard the same desperate message. A voice spoke through tears, begging for help that would probably never come. Captain Han Day sat in his command chair aboard the warship Indomitable, listening to the broadcast for the third time. The voice belonged to someone from a species called the Rilathi. He had never heard of them before, but that did not matter. What mattered was what the voice was saying. Please, anyone who can hear this, our world is dying. The Vorath came 3 cycles ago. They said we had resources they needed. We tried to negotiate. We offered to share. They laughed at us. The voice broke, struggling to continue. They are killing us. Our cities burn. Our children hide in the ruins. We called the Galactic Council. They said this was not their concern. They said it was an internal matter. How can invasion be internal? Han Day looked at his tactical officer, Lieutenant Bei Jin. The younger man's face was hard, his jaw tight. They both knew what was happening. They had seen the reports. The Vorath Empire had been expanding for years, taking worlds from species too weak to fight back. The Galactic Council did nothing, hiding behind laws and procedures while innocents died. We do not know who will hear this, the Rilathi voice continued. We do not know if anyone will come, but we are sending these coordinates. If there is anyone out there who believes that might does not make right, if there is anyone who thinks the strong should protect the weak instead of destroying them, please help us. We are at the edge of the outer rim, near the Forbidden Zone, near the place where they say a death world exists, a planet called Earth. The transmission ended. The bridge of the Indomitable fell silent. Han Dai stood up. Navigation. Plot a jump course to those coordinates. Engineering, I want jump drives ready in 20 minutes. Tactical, battle stations, communications, send a message to the rest of the battle group. We are going to Rilath. Bei Jin turned in his chair. Sir, we have not received orders from Earth Command. I know, Han Day said quietly. By the time we get orders, those people will be dead. We are 4 jumps away. We can be there in 6 hours. The Vorath will not let us just take their prize, Bei Jin said. We will be starting a war. Han Day looked at the screen where the coordinates glowed. They started the war when they invaded a peaceful world. We are just going to finish it. The crew moved with purpose. They had trained for this. Every human ship in the fleet had trained for this since humanity joined the galactic community 20 years ago. The other species thought humans were young and naive. They thought Earth's military was small and outdated. They were wrong on both counts. Dr. Choi Hana entered the bridge from the research section. She was the ship's xenobiologist, responsible for understanding alien species. Captain, I have been reading about the Rilathi. They are herbivores, plant eaters. They evolved on a world with no predators. They have no concept of hunting or being hunted. Violence is completely foreign to them. That makes them perfect targets, Han Day said. Yes, Hana agreed. The Vorath chose them specifically because they knew there would be no resistance. The Rilathi do not even have weapons. Their entire culture is built around cooperation and sharing. They cannot understand why someone would hurt them. Bei Jin shook his head. And the Galactic Council just abandoned them. The Council is afraid of the Vorath, Hana explained. The Vorath have 40 warships in that system. They are considered a Tier 2 military power. Most Council species have smaller fleets. They do not want to risk war. Han Dai smiled, but there was no humor in it. Good thing we are not most species. The jump drives engaged with a low hum that vibrated through the ship. The Indomitable and her 4 sister ships slipped into jump space, crossing light years in minutes. Han Da used the time to review what they knew about the Vorath. They were a warrior culture, strong, aggressive, and proud. They believed that might made right, that the strong had the natural right to rule the weak. They had conquered a dozen worlds in the past century. The Galactic Council protested each time, issued sanctions that meant nothing, and ultimately did nothing to stop them. The Vorath had good reason to be confident. Their ships were heavily armed and shielded. Their warriors were experienced and brutal. In every conflict with Council species, they had won easily. Why would this time be different? Admiral Kang Hyun appeared on the communications screen. He had transferred his flag to the Indomitable for this mission. The old admiral looked tired, but his eyes were sharp. Captain Han Day, I have received an urgent message from the Galactic Council. Ambassador Velthar of the Senthian Confederacy demands that we turn back. He says we are about to start a war that humanity cannot win. What did you tell him? Han Dai asked. I told him we know, Kang Hyun said. I told him we are going anyway. He will not be happy about that. He was not happy that I interrupted his dinner to tell him, Kang Hyun said dryly. He kept talking about treaties and protocols and proper diplomatic channels. I told him that by the time we went through proper diplomatic channels, there would be no Rilathi left to save. Han Day nodded. This was why he respected the admiral. Kang Hyun understood that sometimes rules had to be broken. Sometimes doing the right thing meant accepting the consequences. The Vorath have 40 ships, Kang Hyun continued. We have 5. They will think we are insane. Maybe we are, Han Day said. But we are the insane people with railguns and gravity compensation and 10,000 years of warfare burned into our DNA. The galaxy is about to learn something, Kang Hyun said. They are about to learn what happens when you threaten the innocent in front of a Deathworlder. They expected mercy. They expected negotiation. They expected the Council to send peacekeepers and mediators. The Admiral's smile was cold. But the Deathworlders' fleet arrived instead. The jump countdown reached 0. The Indomitable and her sisters dropped out of jump space directly into Ryloth's orbit. Not at the edge of the system where it was safe, but right on top of the enemy. It was a maneuver that most species considered suicidally reckless. The gravitational stress could tear a ship apart. The risk of collision was enormous. But humans had practiced this 1,000 times, and they had arrived exactly where they wanted to be. 40 Vorath warships filled the orbital space. On the planet below, cities burned. The Vorath flagship, Conqueror's Fang, immediately sent a transmission. Unknown vessels, you are in Vorath-controlled space. Identify yourselves and withdraw immediately or be destroyed. Han Day took a breath. This was it. The moment everything changed. This is Captain Han Day of the human warship Indomitable. You have 10 minutes to begin withdrawal from Rylath. After that, we will not accept surrender. There was a pause. Then laughter came through the comm system. You have 5 ships. We have 40. Leave now, humans, or learn why the galaxy fears the Vorath. Han Day muted the transmission and looked at his crew. They were ready. Every station was manned. Every weapon was loaded. Every pilot was in their cockpit. 9 minutes, he said quietly. The countdown began. 9 minutes was not a long time, but it was enough. Lieutenant Commander Park Yuna sat in her fighter cockpit, running through her pre-flight checks for the 5th time. Everything was green. Everything was ready. She looked out through the canopy at the launch bay where 119 other fighters waited. 120 pilots total, against 40 warships. The odds would have scared most species. Park Yuna smiled. She had grown up on Earth, in a city that had been destroyed and rebuilt 7 times in human history. Her grandmother had told her stories about the old wars, before humanity reached the stars. Stories about pilots who flew against impossible odds and won through skill and courage and the simple refusal to give up. All fighters, this is Yuna, she said into her comm. Remember your training. Remember why we are here. Those people down on that planet have never hurt anyone. They do not even understand why someone would want to hurt them. The Vorath are bullies. And what do we do to bullies? We punch them in the face, came the chorus of responses. Damn right we do. Yuna said. See you on the other side. In the engineering section, deep in the ship's core, Chief Engineer Nam Sung monitored the experimental weapon systems. The railguns were ready. The EMP torpedoes were armed. The boarding pods were loaded with Marines who were checking their armor and weapons with the calm focus of people who knew they might die in the next hour. Nam Sung had worked on these systems for 3 years. The Galactic Council thought humanity's weapons were primitive. They used energy weapons, elegant and efficient. They had abandoned kinetic weapons thousands of years ago as crude and barbaric. That was their mistake. A railgun did not care about shields designed to stop energy. A chunk of metal moving at a significant fraction of the speed of light went through energy shields like they were not even there. And humanity had refined the railgun into an art form. All weapon systems green, Nam Sung reported to the bridge. We are ready. On the bridge, Lieutenant Bei Jin studied the tactical display. 40 red dots representing Vorath ships. 5 blue dots representing the human fleet. It looked hopeless. It would have been hopeless for most species. But Bei Jin had studied military history. He knew about the Battle of Thermopylae, where 300 Spartans held off an army. He knew about the Battle of Rorke's Drift, where 150 British soldiers fought off 4,000 Zulu warriors. He knew about Iwo Jima and Stalingrad and 1,000 other battles where humans had faced overwhelming odds. Humans did not run from bad odds. They ran toward them. Captain, Bei Jin said, the Vorath are forming attack formation. They are not taking us seriously. They think this will be easy. Han Dae nodded. Good. Overconfidence is a weakness we can exploit. What is their formation? Standard Vorath battle line, Bei Jin said. Ships spread out for maximum firing arcs. They will try to surround us and hit us from all sides. They are thinking in 2 dimensions, Han Dae observed. Naval combat, but in space. They have not adapted their tactics to true 3-dimensional warfare. Most species think that way, Dr. Choi Hana said from her station. They come from worlds with oceans. Their early warfare was on water, so they think in terms of ships on a flat plain. Earth had aerial combat for a century before we reached space. We think in 3 dimensions naturally. Admiral Kang Hyun appeared on the screen again. All ships, this is Admiral Kang Hyun. In 30 seconds, we will show the Vorath why you do not threaten the defenseless in front of humans. We will show them what Deathworlders do. We will show them that Earth did not just survive because we got lucky. We survived because we learned to fight better than anything else on our world, and our world was trying very hard to kill us. The countdown reached 1 minute. Han Dae stood. Communications, open a channel to the Vorath flagship. The face of War Master Kreth appeared on the screen. He was large, with thick armor plating and eyes that showed no mercy. He looked at Han Dae with contempt. Your time is up, human. You should have run while you could. You have one more chance, Han Dae said calmly. Leave now. Leave these people alone. Find some other way to get what you need. Kreth laughed. Why would we do that? We are stronger. They are weaker. That is all that matters. Strength is the only truth in the universe. No, Han Dae said quietly. That is where you are wrong. Strength without purpose is just violence. Strength without restraint is just cruelty. And cruelty always fails in the end because it creates enemies everywhere. Philosophy from a dead man, Kreth sneered. Your 5 ships against my 40. You are brave, I will give you that. Stupid but brave, I will make your deaths quick. You misunderstand, Han Dae said. We are not here to die. We are here to stop you. Kreth's expression changed. For just a moment, uncertainty flickered in his eyes. What are you? We are from Earth, Han Dae said. We are Deathworlders, and you just made a very big mistake. The countdown hit 0. All ships, Admiral Kang Hyun's voice rang out. Fire! The human fleet opened up with everything they had. Railguns threw metal slugs at incredible speeds. The Vorath shields, designed to stop energy weapons, did almost nothing against solid projectiles. The first salvo punched through 3 Vorath ships like they were made of paper. The Vorath returned fire, but the human ships were already moving. They accelerated at speeds that should have killed their crews. The gravity compensation technology kept everyone alive, but just barely. The humans felt the pressure, felt their bodies strain, but they had trained for this. They had trained at accelerations that would turn most species into paste. The human ships did not stay still and trade shots. They moved like sharks, like wolves, like the predators their ancestors had been. They dived and rolled and spun in 3 dimensions. Always moving, always firing, never where the Vorath expected them to be. "Launch fighters," Hyundai ordered. The launch bay doors opened and 120 fighters screamed out into space. Park Yuna led her squadron in a maneuver that would have been impossible for most species. Her fighter pulled 13 Gs in a turn that brought her right into the middle of the Vorath formation. The Vorath had fighters too, but they were designed for support, for defending their big ships. They were not designed to be independent hunters. Park Yuna's fighters were. Human pilots had trained in Earth's atmosphere, where physics was harsh and mistakes meant death. They had learned to fly in 3 dimensions from the beginning. The Vorath pilots were good, but they were fighting an enemy that thought in ways they could not match. Within minutes, the space around Ryloth was full of explosions and debris. The Vorath were learning a terrible lesson. They were learning that technology and numbers were not enough. They were learning that there was a species in the galaxy that had spent its entire existence learning to fight, to survive, to win against odds that should have been impossible. Sergeant Lee Tay felt his boarding pod launch from the Indomitable. Around him, 39 other Marines sat in their armor, weapons ready. The pod was essentially a metal shell with engines and a drill on the front. It was crude, simple, and absolutely terrifying to anyone who saw it coming. The pod slammed into the side of a Vorath warship. The drill bit through the hull. Alarms blared inside the Vorath ship. The Marines poured out into the corridors. The Vorath Marines were waiting. They were big, strong, and experienced. They thought they were the best warriors in the galaxy. They had never fought humans before. Humans had evolved from pack hunters. They moved as units, covering each other, communicating constantly. The Vorath were ambush predators, used to fighting alone. Against the coordinated assault of human Marines, they broke. Lee Tay's team cleared the ship deck by deck. It was brutal work, but they had trained for it. More importantly, they knew why they were doing it. Every Vorath ship they disabled was one less ship dropping bombs on innocent people below. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Bei Jin updated the tactical display. 20 Vorath ships were destroyed or disabled. Another 8 were fleeing. The remaining ships were trying to regroup, but they were scattered and confused. "Captain," Bei Jin said, "we have them." Hyundai nodded. 17 minutes. The entire battle had taken 17 minutes. War Master Kreth's face appeared on the screen again. His ship was crippled, drifting. "What are you?" he asked again. Captain Han Day looked at the broken Vorath War Master on his screen. Kreth's ship was venting atmosphere. Fires burned in the background. The mighty warrior who had laughed at them 20 minutes ago now looked lost and confused. "You asked what we are," Hyundai said. "I will tell you. We are from a planet that has tried to kill us since the day our species was born. We are from a world where everything evolved to fight, to hunt, to survive. We are from a place where the weather can kill you, the animals can kill you, even the plants can kill you. We learned to work together because if we did not, we died." Kreth stared at him. Blood ran down the side of his face from a wound on his head. "We are what happens when prey becomes predator," Hyundai continued. We are what happens when a species survives 10,000 years of war against itself and still chooses mercy when it has the power to destroy. We are Deathworlders, and we do not let bullies hurt innocent people. The transmission cut. Kreth's ship went dark. "Sir," Lieutenant Beijin said, 12 Vorath ships are fleeing the system. Do we pursue?" "No," Han Day said. "Let them go. Let them tell their empire what happened here. Let them spread the word that Earth will not stand by while innocents suffer." Admiral Kang Hyun nodded in approval. "Begin rescue operations. Get medical teams to the surface. And someone find out if any Relathi survived this nightmare." Dr. Choi Hana prepared her team. They would be the first humans the Relathi met face to face. It was important to get this right. The Relathi had just watched humans destroy a fleet that had been terrorizing them for months. They had seen what human weapons could do. They would be terrified. The shuttle dropped through Relath's atmosphere. Hana looked out the window at the planet below. It should have been beautiful. The reports said Relath had rolling green fields, crystal cities, and peaceful gardens. Instead, she saw smoke rising from ruined buildings. She saw craters where bombs had fallen. She saw a world that had been innocent and was now broken. The shuttle landed in the central square of the city of Kalanin, the largest Relathi city, or it had been. Now, it was mostly rubble. Hana and her team stepped out of the shuttle carefully. They wore their uniforms, but no armor, no weapons. They wanted to look as non-threatening as possible. The Relathi were hiding. Hana could see them peeking out from ruined buildings, from behind broken walls. They were tall and thin, with large eyes and delicate features. They moved gracefully, even in fear. They looked nothing like humans. They looked fragile and gentle and terrified. A group of Relathi slowly emerged from a shelter. An older one, with silver patterns on their skin, stepped forward. They wore robes that had once been fine but were now torn and dirty. "Are you the humans?" the Relathi asked. Their voice was soft, musical. "Yes," Hana said. "I am Dr. Choi Hana. We received your distress call. We came to help." The Relathi stared at her. "We watched from our shelters. We saw what you did to the Vorath ships. We saw the weapons, the explosions, the violence." The Relathi's voice shook. "We do not understand violence. We never have. But we saw what you did for us." "We did what was necessary," Hana said gently. "The Vorath would not listen to words. We had to speak in a language they would understand." "You killed for us," the Relathi said. "You hurt people for us. We do not know if we should be grateful or horrified." Hana knelt down so she was at eye level with the smaller Relathi. "You should be neither. You should just be free. That is all we want. We want you to be able to live your lives without fear. The Vorath took that from you. We gave it back." A smaller Relathi, a child, peeked out from behind the elder. The child looked at Hana with wide eyes full of fear and hope and confusion. "Are you going to hurt us?" the child asked. Hana felt something break inside her chest. She had seen war. She had studied dozens of species. But hearing that question from a child who had learned to fear the people who came from the sky, it hurt in a way she had not expected. "No, little one," Hana said softly. "Never. We hurt the ones who hurt you. That is what we do. We stop the bad people so the good people can be safe." The child stepped forward slowly. They reached out a delicate hand and touched Hana's face, curious and careful. "You look scary," the child said, "but you feel kind." Hana smiled. "We get that a lot." More Relathi emerged from hiding, thousands of them, filling the square. They looked at the humans with a mixture of emotions. Fear. Yes, but also hope, and something like wonder. The elder Relathi spoke again. "The Galactic Council abandoned us. They said they could not help. They said the Vorath were too powerful. They said we should negotiate, should compromise, should find a peaceful solution. But the Vorath did not want peace. They wanted to take everything from us. The Council is afraid, Hana said. Many species in the galaxy have forgotten what it means to fight. They have lived in peace for so long that they think peace is the natural state of the universe. But peace is not natural. Peace is something you have to protect. Sometimes with words, sometimes with other means. You are warriors, the elder said. Yes, Hana admitted. But we are more than that. We are also doctors and scientists and artists and gardeners. We are complex, just like you. We just happen to be very, very good at the war part, because our planet spent millions of years teaching us how to fight or die. Across the planet, human medical teams worked to save Rilathi lives. The Rilathi had no experience with trauma medicine because they had no experience with trauma. The humans did. Earth had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of putting broken bodies back together. In orbit, the human fleet maintained watch. The Vorath might come back. Reinforcements might arrive. The humans were ready. Lieutenant Commander Park Yuna landed her fighter back on the Indomitable. She was exhausted. The battle had only lasted 17 minutes, but it had been 17 minutes of pure intensity. Her body ached from the G-forces. Her mind was tired from the constant calculations and decisions. But she had done it. They had all done it. 120 fighters against a fleet, and they had won. Chief Engineer Nam Sung was already running diagnostics on the weapon systems. The railguns had performed perfectly. The EMP torpedoes had exceeded expectations. The boarding pods had worked exactly as designed. He made notes for his report. Earth Command would want to know everything. Sergeant Lee Tay and his Marines returned from the captured Vorath ships. They had taken prisoners, secured the vessels, and gathered intelligence. The Vorath Marines they had fought were good, but they had been trained to fight individuals, not units. Against the coordinated human assault, they had been overwhelmed. The Vorath are tough, Lee Tay reported to Captain Han Day. Strong, experienced, well-equipped, but they fight like solo hunters. They do not work together the way we do. Every man for himself. Against a species that fights as a pack, they do not stand a chance. On Earth, the news was spreading. The human media had picked up the story. The Galactic Council was in an uproar. Humanity had just violated multiple treaties, ignored diplomatic protocols, and started a conflict with a major galactic power. Public opinion on Earth was unanimous. Good. The Galactic Council could complain all they wanted. The human government's official response was simple. We will not apologize for saving innocent lives. Ambassador Velthar of the Senthian Confederacy called an emergency meeting. He appeared on screens across human space, his alien features twisted in what humans had learned to recognize as anger. Humanity has committed an act of war, Velthar declared. You have attacked a sovereign empire without provocation, without authorization, without consulting the proper authorities. This is unacceptable. There will be consequences. Admiral Kang Hyun responded from the bridge of the Indomitable. The transmission was broadcast to the entire galaxy. Ambassador Velthar, with respect, you are wrong. The Vorath committed an act of war when they invaded Rilath. We simply responded. You say we acted without provocation. The deaths of millions of innocent Rilathi is provocation. You say we acted without authorization. We do not need your authorization to defend the defenseless. You say there will be consequences. We accept them. Velthar's expression shifted. You do not understand what you have done. The Vorath Empire has hundreds of ships. They will not let this insult stand. They will come for you. They will destroy you. Let them come, Kang Hyun said calmly. Let them learn what the Vorath learned today. Let them learn that Earth will not stand idle while bullies terrorize the innocent. Let them learn that Deathworlders do not back down from a fight. especially when we are fighting for something that matters. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, species watched and wondered. Some were horrified, some were impressed, some were terrified, and some, the ones who had been suffering under the Vorath or other aggressive empires, felt something they had not felt in a long time: hope. 3 days after the battle, Dr. Choi Hana walked through the streets of Kelanin with a group of Relathi children following her. They were curious now, less afraid. They asked endless questions about Earth, about humans, about everything. "Is it true your planet has oceans full of giant creatures with teeth?" one child asked. "Yes," Hana said. "We call them sharks. Some are bigger than our ships." The children made sounds of amazement and fear. "And you swim in the same water as them?" "Some humans do," Hana said. "For fun?" The children could not understand that. Their planet had lakes and rivers, but nothing in them wanted to eat you. The idea of swimming for fun in water that contained predators was insane to them. An older Relathi, one of their teachers, walked alongside Hana. "Your people are very strange," the teacher said. "You come from a world of horrors, yet you seem happy. How is that possible?" Hana thought about the question. "I think it is because we learned that life is precious exactly because it is fragile. On Earth, you can die any time. Disease, accidents, animals, weather, other humans. Death is always close. So we learn to value the time we have. We learn to fight for every day, every moment. We learn to protect each other because we are all we have against a universe that does not care if we live or die." The teacher was quiet for a moment. "The Vorath said strength was all that mattered. They said the strong have the right to rule the weak. You proved you are stronger than them. But you are not trying to rule us. Why?" "Because the Vorath were wrong," Hana said simply. "Strength is not about domination. Real strength is about protection, about using your power to help those who cannot help themselves. The strong do not have the right to rule the weak. The strong have the responsibility to protect the weak." The teacher stopped walking. "I think I understand now. You are not warriors who learned compassion. You are compassionate beings who learned to be warriors when necessary." Hana smiled. "That is the nicest thing anyone has said about humans in a long time." On the Indomitable, Captain Han Day received a priority transmission from Earth. It was not the reprimand he expected. Instead, it was a briefing from military intelligence. 3 other species had sent distress calls in the past 2 days. All of them were under attack by the Vorath or other aggressive empires. All of them had addressed their messages specifically to Earth. The word was spreading across the galaxy. If you needed help, if the Galactic Council would not act, call the Deathworlders. "This is getting out of hand," Admiral Kang Hyun said. He looked tired. The past 3 days had been spent in diplomatic meetings, defending their actions to the Council, and planning for the Vorath response that everyone knew was coming. "We cannot be the galaxy's police force. We do not have the resources." "We might not have a choice," Han Day said. "Once you take a stand, you cannot back down without losing all credibility. If we help the Relathi but ignore the next species that asks for help, what message does that send?" "It sends the message that we have limits," Kang Hyun said. "Which is true." Lieutenant Bei Jin entered the conference room with a data pad. "Sir, you need to see this. The Galactic Council just published their official response to our actions at Rylath." He put the report on the main screen. It was long, full of legal language and diplomatic speak, but the core message was clear. The Council condemned humanity's actions. They imposed economic sanctions. They suspended human voting rights in the Council for 1 standard year. They demanded a formal apology. "They also did something else," Bei Jin said. He brought up another document. "They passed a resolution. Any species that requests human military assistance will be considered in violation of Council law and subject to sanctions." Han Day stared at the screen. They are trying to isolate us, make it too costly for other species to ask for our help. It will not work, Kang Hyun said. Species that are being slaughtered do not care about Council sanctions, but it shows how desperate the Council is. They are more afraid of us than they are of the Vorath. Because we showed them that their system does not work, Han Dae said. They built a galaxy based on laws and treaties and the belief that everyone would follow the rules. Then someone came along who did not care about the rules, and their whole system collapsed. We proved that by actually doing something. Dr. Choi Hana joined the meeting. I have been talking to the Rilati leaders. They want to know if we will stay. They are afraid the Vorath will come back as soon as we leave. We cannot stay forever, Kang Hyun said. We have our own worlds to protect. I told them that, Hana said. But I also told them we would help them build defenses. We would train them to protect themselves. They said that goes against everything they believe in. They are a peaceful species. They do not want to learn violence. Then they will be conquered again, Bei Jin said bluntly. Peace is wonderful. But you cannot have peace if someone else decides they want war. There has to be another way, Hana said. We cannot turn every species in the galaxy into warriors. No, Kang Hyun agreed. But we can create a system where warriors protect the peaceful, where species like us, who are good at fighting, use that skill to protect species like the Rilathi, who are good at other things. Han Dae nodded slowly. A mutual defense pact. Not the Council's version, where everyone agrees to defend each other but no one actually does. A real alliance. Species contribute what they can. The Rilathi offer agriculture and art. The Senthians offer medical technology. Humanity offers military protection. The Council will never agree to that, Bai Jin said. Then we do it without the Council, Kang Hyun said. We create something new. The idea spread quickly. Within a week, 5 species had expressed interest in what was being called the Free Species Alliance. None of them were major powers. They were small, peaceful species that the Council had failed to protect. They saw humanity as their only hope. The Vorath Empire, meanwhile, was not taking their defeat quietly. Emperor Vathkar called together his war council. The loss at Rilath was unacceptable. The humans had embarrassed them, had shown weakness to the entire galaxy. This could not stand. We will crush them, Vathkar declared. We will show the galaxy that the Vorath Empire does not tolerate insults. How many ships do the humans have? His military advisor hesitated. Our intelligence was incomplete, Emperor. We thought they had a small fleet. We were wrong. How wrong? We estimate they have over 2,000 warships, the advisor said quietly. The 5 ships at Rilath represented less than 1% of their actual military capability. The room fell silent. Every Vorath leader understood what that meant. They had thought they were fighting a minor power. Instead, they had attacked one of the most heavily armed species in the galaxy. Why did they not tell anyone? Vathkar demanded. Why did they hide their strength? We do not know, the advisor said. Perhaps they did not want to seem threatening. Perhaps they were waiting to see how the galaxy would react to them. Or perhaps they simply do not think the way we do. Vathkar stood. He was a warrior. He had won every battle he had ever fought, but he was not stupid. He knew when he had made a mistake. Send a message to the human admiral, he said. Tell him we wish to negotiate. On the Indomitable, Han Dae received the message with surprise. The mighty Vorath wanted to talk. That was unexpected. Admiral Kang Hyun was less surprised. They did the math. They realized they cannot win. Now they want to save face. Do we negotiate? Han Dae asked. Yes, Kang Hyun said, but on our terms. The Vorath withdraw from all occupied worlds. They pay reparations to the species they harmed. They agree to submit to independent observers to ensure they follow the agreement. And if they break the treaty, we come back and finish what we started. The negotiations took 2 weeks. The Vorath tried to bargain, to reduce the demands, to save some of their pride. The humans did not budge. In the end, the Vorath agreed to everything. The galaxy watched in shock as the mighty Vorath Empire, which had conquered dozens of worlds, which had terrorized peaceful species for decades, backed down from a species they had never heard of 5 years ago. And in the ruins of Kellenin, a Relathi child asked Dr. Choi Hana a question that would define humanity's role in the galaxy. "Will you always protect us?" Hana knelt down and looked the child in the eyes. "We will try our very best. We cannot promise we will always win. We cannot promise we will always be there in time. But we can promise that we will never stop trying. That is what Deathworlders do. We do not give up. We do not back down. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. That is our strength, and that is our choice." 6 months after the Battle of Ryloth, everything had changed. The Free Species Alliance had grown to include 23 species. It was not large by galactic standards, but it was growing. Every week, another species joined, looking for the protection that the Galactic Council could not or would not provide. Captain Honday, now Commodore Honday, stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the Defender. It was a newer ship, built specifically for the protection missions that had become humanity's role in the galaxy. Faster, better armed, with improved medical facilities for rescued populations. "Commodore," Lieutenant Beijin said, "we are receiving a distress call. The Miran species. Their colony on Mira 4 is under attack by raiders. They are requesting immediate assistance." Handai looked at the star map. Mira 4 was 3 jumps away. "How many ships do the raiders have?" 12, Beijin said. "Pirate fleet. They are demanding tribute or they will destroy the colony." "Response time? We can be there in 4 hours." Honday nodded. "Send a message to the raiders. Tell them they have until we arrive to leave. After that, the offer expires." The Defender and her escort ships jumped toward Mira 4. This was the 3rd rescue mission this month. Pirates and small aggressive species were learning that the easy targets were not so easy anymore. Not when the Deathworlders would come. Dr. Choi Hana was now the official ambassador for the Free Species Alliance. She traveled between member worlds, helping them understand each other, building bridges between species that thought in completely different ways. She was currently on Senthia, meeting with Ambassador Velthar. The Senthian Confederacy had not joined the Alliance, but they were talking now. The Council's sanctions against humanity had failed. The economic pressure had not worked. Too many species wanted to trade with Earth, wanted access to human technology and protection. "You have put us in a difficult position," Velthar said. He did not sound angry anymore, just tired. "The Council is divided. Some species think you are heroes, others think you are dangerous warmongers, and some think you are both." "What do you think?" Hana asked. Velthar was quiet for a long moment. "I think you are what the galaxy needs, even if we do not want to admit it. For 10,000 years we have built a society based on law and diplomacy. It has worked. We have had peace. But that peace only existed because everyone agreed to follow the rules. Then species like the Vorath stopped following the rules, and we had no answer. We could not fight them because we had forgotten how. So we made excuses. We said intervention would be wrong, would violate sovereignty, would set a bad precedent, and species died while we debated." "You could have learned to fight again?" Hana said. "Yes," Velthar agreed. "But that would have changed who we are. We do not want to be warriors. We do not want to solve problems with violence. But you showed us that sometimes violence is the only answer to violence. You showed us that peace must be defended, not just hoped for." "So what happens now?" Hana asked. "Now we adapt," Velthar said. "The Senthian Confederacy is officially applying to join the Free Species Alliance. We will contribute medical technology and diplomatic expertise, and we will support your military actions when they are justified." Hana felt hope bloom in her chest. If the Senthians joined, others would follow. The alliance would become more than a collection of small species. It would become a real power in the galaxy. On the Vorath homeworld, Emperor Vathkar faced a crisis. His empire was collapsing from within. The defeat at Ryloth had shattered the myth of Vorath invincibility. Conquered worlds were rising up, demanding freedom. The Vorath military, once proud and confident, was demoralized. And the worst part was the message that had arrived this morning. 3 Vorath colonies on the frontier had been attacked by another aggressive empire. The Vorath had called for help. No one came. The Galactic Council said it was an internal matter. The irony was not lost on anyone. "We have become what we despised," Vathkar told his advisor. "We are the weak ones now, crying for help that will not come." "There is one option," the advisor said carefully. "We could ask the humans." Vathkar laughed bitterly. "Ask the species we attacked to save us? They would laugh in our faces." "Perhaps," the advisor said. "Or perhaps they would help. They seem to have this strange idea that even their enemies deserve protection." Vathkar considered it. Pride said no. Survival said yes. He sent the message. Admiral Kang Hyun received the Vorath request in his office on Earth. He read it 3 times, not quite believing what he was seeing. The Vorath Empire, which had tried to destroy them 6 months ago, was asking for help. Captain Han Dae was called in for a consultation. "What do you think?" Kang Hyun asked. Han Dae thought about all the Rilathi who had died before the humans arrived. He thought about the Vorath Marines he had fought, brutal and merciless. He thought about everything the Vorath represented, everything they had done. "We should help them," he said quietly. Kang Hyun raised an eyebrow. "Explain." "Because if we only help the species we like, we are no better than the Council," Han Dae said. "They pick and choose who deserves protection based on politics and economics. If we do the same, we prove that our principles only matter when they are convenient. The Vorath are terrible. They have done terrible things. But their civilians do not deserve to die because their leaders made bad decisions." "The crew will not like it," Kang Hyun said. "No," Han Dae agreed. "But they will do it anyway, because they understand the difference between justice and revenge. Justice means protecting the innocent. Revenge means hurting those who hurt you. We are not in the revenge business." The human fleet arrived at the Vorath colonies before the attacking empire could destroy them. The enemy fleet, seeing human warships, fled immediately. The word had spread. You did not fight the Deathworlders unless you wanted to die. On the colony, Vorath civilians emerged from their shelters. They looked at the human ships with fear and confusion. These were the people who had destroyed their military. These were the monsters from the Death World. Why were they here? Lieutenant Commander Park Yuna led the relief effort. She distributed food and medical supplies. She helped repair damaged infrastructure. She did all of this while Vorath civilians stared at her like she was an alien from another dimension. One Vorath, an older civilian, finally approached her. "Why are you helping us? We tried to destroy you." Park Yuna looked at him. "Your military tried to destroy us. You are not your military. You are just people trying to live your lives. That is worth protecting." "Even though we are Vorath?" "Even though you are Vorath," Park Yuna confirmed. "We do not judge species by their worst members. We judge them by their potential to be better." The Vorath civilian stared at her for a long moment. Then he did something completely unexpected. He knelt. "I do not understand you, human, but I am grateful. We all are." Back on Earth, the news that humanity had saved Vorath civilians spread quickly. Some people were angry. Why should they help their enemies? Others understood. This was what made humanity different. This was what made them better. Dr. Choi Hana was interviewed by Galactic Media. The reporter asked the obvious question: why did humanity help the Vorath after what they did to the Relathi? Hana's answer was simple: because the civilians who were in danger had nothing to do with the invasion of Relath, because children do not choose where they are born or what their government does, because if we only protect the people we like, we are no different from the bullies we are fighting against. We are better than that. Humanity is better than that. The interview was broadcast across the galaxy. It reached species that had never heard of Earth, species that did not know humans existed. And it carried a message that was both simple and profound. There was a species in the galaxy that would protect you even if you were their enemy, because protection was not about who deserved it. It was about what was right. 3 months later, the Vorath Empire officially disbanded. Emperor Vathkar stepped down. The former empire split into several independent worlds, each choosing their own path. Some joined the Free Species Alliance. Others remained independent but friendly. The Galactic Council had no choice but to recognize the Free Species Alliance as a legitimate political entity. They could not ignore an organization that now included 47 species and was growing every day. Commodore Han Day stood on the observation deck of the Defender, looking out at Earth, his home, his world. The Death World that had created a species crazy enough to think they could protect an entire galaxy. Admiral Kang Hyun joined him. The old admiral looked older now, worn down by the weight of their new responsibility. "Do you ever regret it?" Kang Hyun asked. "Answering that first distress call? We could have stayed out of it, focused on our own worlds." Handai thought about the Relathi children who were alive because they had gone. He thought about the dozens of other species they had saved since then. He thought about the galaxy slowly learning that peace was not just the absence of war. It was something you had to actively protect. "No," Handai said. "I do not regret it. This is what we were meant to do. Earth spent millions of years teaching us to survive, to fight, to never give up. We could use those lessons just for ourselves. Or we could use them for something bigger." A new alert chimed. Another distress call. Another species in trouble. Another chance to prove that the Deathworlders were not just destroyers. They were protectors. Handai looked at Kang Hyun. The Admiral nodded. "Set course," Handai ordered. "Maximum speed." The Defender turned toward the stars, toward another battle, toward another rescue, because that was what Deathworlders did. They did not run from the fight. They ran toward it, toward the people who needed them, toward the innocent who could not protect themselves. They expected mercy when they cried for help. They expected diplomats and mediators and endless committees. But the Deathworlders' fleet arrived instead, and the galaxy was better for it.